All right, Trent, today's the day. We've talked about it ad nauseum, and we've talked about the definition of that word just the other day.
We did indeed.
We've talked about this quite a bit, and we're going to put this out here today in a video. How much money is too much money when you're purchasing bourbon? And it can be a sensitive topic, and I don't want it to be. It can be an uncomfortable topic to talk about, right? I don't want it to be. This is just a conversation. So pretend like you're here at the bar and you're just pulling up a stool here at the bar and we're just going to discuss it like friends, because that's what it's all about. You're going to get zero judgment from me and or Trenton on this subject. This is just something we want to discuss. We've wanted to discuss it for quite some time. And it's been on my mind for quite some time. I answer questions weekly on Facebook, Instagram. Why can't I get prices in my area? How come I have to pay at least $250 to $300 for a Weller 12 in my area? Why? And it's hard to answer those questions, right?
Yeah.
So today, Trenton, do the best you can to help me out. This is just a casual conversation, so keep that in mind, please. You're not going to get any judgment from me. You're the consumer at the end of the day, right? You're the consumer, you're the customer. So you're in charge. I don't know. This is going to be...
My God, I'm getting a little... My heart rate increases a little bit, so I made sure to pour... I made sure to pour myself a little bit of something so I could kind of loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
But what made you kind of start thinking about this topic more? Because I know that personally, I myself have seen some very questionable pricing, not from local stores in particular, though. Sure. That is a big area of concern as well, but just distilleries marking stuff at MSRP. Like one of my favorites, Brown-Forman, just came out with something that was I almost fell out of bed.
Bring it up. Just talk about it right now. That's one on my list, believe it or not.
So I'm not really subscribed to any of the newsletters for releases for anything. The good folks in the Discord, we have a news section, so they'll post stuff in there when it comes out. So I'm privy to kind of the pricing and everything, which is good.
Yep.
But I saw that Brown-Forman was releasing something under the label of Brown-Forman, which I don't know that they've ever done before. So Brown-Forman, if you're not familiar, owns Woodford Reserve, Jack Daniels, and Old Forester. That's kind of like Brown-Forman's bourbon umbrella. They own a couple other brands, but in terms of whiskey, those are the three, unless they did one recently that I'm not aware of. But it was a 12-and-a-half-year bourbon.
Yes.
So in my head, I'm like, okay, this is like a birthday bourbon release. And I looked at the email and it said $2,500.
Correct.
I thought that it was, I had just woken up, I had just seen it. Yeah. I thought it was $250. So I was like, okay, it's a little bit higher than the MSRP for something like a birthday bourbon, which is 12 years.
Sure.
Some of them are
something you can contemplate, $250, okay.
Right. For a special release, I think it was 2,000 bottles. It was a small amount of bottles.
It was actually, I from my research, because it's on my list, that's the only way I even know it. Because, I don't even normally care about that stuff.
Yeah.
I let you handle it. But it was a 150th anniversary bottle. It was aged for 150 months, which equivalates to 12 and a half years. But I thought I saw on there they only released 150 bottles.
Okay.
I don't know if that's accurate because it doesn't seem like in the barrels that they were talking about, in what I read, didn't seem like it added up very well. But, who knows? I don't know. That's what I found. That's what I saw.
Yeah, okay.
So extremely allocated.
Yeah. And it wasn't just the liquid. From what I quickly glanced at, it was like a VIP dinner or something with...
Glad you brought it up.
I think some VIPs are from execs from Brown-Forman. It was like this whole event that was kind of centered around this bottle.
Well, that's a little bit different too then.
Right. So it's
something else to think about.
It's not as much of like hey, we're going to charge you $2,500 MSRP and all you get is the bottle.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, but still that's travel and hotels and stuff was not included in that. Mm-hmm. All right. And it didn't disclose what the dinner was or anything like that I read.
All right.
So that I love Brown-Forman. I love Jack Daniel stuff. I love Old Forester stuff.
Absolutely.
And Woodford has a special place in my heart too. So that kind of
and they're usually pretty good on their pricing
they
too.
Are.
So this was a bit of a surprise to me when I saw it.
Yeah.
I had at least a dozen people message me on this.
Did you really?
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
Well, Justin texted us. Justin texted me and you in the group. Yeah. Justin's one of our good friends. Mm-hmm. But the thing with Woodford, Brown-Forman's been pretty good about the pricing. With Woodford, Jack Daniels, or not even Jack Daniels, Brown-Forman has started moving towards a 700 milliliter bottling.
Oh, is that right?
Because in the U.S. it's 750, and then in the EU and abroad is 700 ml releases for most countries. That's like I think it's the maximum or something. But so a lot of releases come standard at 700 ml overseas. To streamline their bottling process and everything, they started making 700 mLs standard in the U.S. as well for their releases.
Wow.
The 2023 Twice Barreled Rye was a 700 ml. Their release last year, the Sherry American Single Malt,
yes,
was a 700 ml.
Right.
So
I remember that.
And
too.
then I think their Woodford Reserve Masters collections are going that route also.
Is that right?
So you're getting 50 milliliters less, which is like a little shooter of liquid, but still like. With that decrease, for some reason, is coming with an increase in price.
Right.
Inflation, of course, can be used as a causation of that, but it just seems it bugs me.
Well, let me go through my list, Trenton. And here's just some bottles I have on my mind. It's just bottles I have in mind. I'm not trying to hammer any particular distillery at all. I'm going to start with Wild Turkey, and as all of you know,
Do you like Wild Turkey?
I like it a lot, and it probably more than likely is my favorite bourbon distillery. All right,
Yeah.
But as you saw with the purchase that we did the video on the Master's Keep Voyage, the last one is now $300. That pretty much doubled from $150 to $300. They just came out with the single rickhouse, the Camp Nelson bottle was $300. I know that went up some, not a lot. I think you told me the last bottle was $200, $220, somewhere in there. But $300. I hear it's fantastic. I've never tried it. You asked me if I wanted one, and I said no. $300, don't get one.
Yeah.
But $300. But they came out here recently with the Wild Turkey Generations bottle, and it's a blend of 9, 12, 14, and 15-year-old bourbon. Sounds great, doesn't it? Sounds fantastic. Really does. $450. You also asked me about that bottle, and I said absolutely not. No.
Even for that, I was like, ooh, that's a little bit high.
And I think you're just being kind to ask me because you know I love Wild Turkey, but $450. I mean, wow, $450. Seriously. God bless them. I love Eddie Russell, Jimmy Russell. We did that collaborative pick with the Bourbon Judge Stuff and Whiskey with Bruce Russell.
Yeah.
A fabulous guy. We had the best time doing that barrel pick.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Great time. So God bless those guys. I know they're under new ownership now with the Campari Group. I'm sure that has a lot to deal with it. But again, I'm going to reiterate my question. How much money is too much money? Well, for me, I told Trenton, no, I don't want that. $450? No, I'm not going to get it. Now, 2 years from now, I might have the bottle because somebody might want to trade me an antique 107 and something else that I spent $200 on total that I can trade and get that bottle. I might do that. It's open. I don't know, but I will never. I promise you this: I'm not going to pay $450 for it. I'm not going to do it. Whistle Pig. You know anything about Whistle Pig, Trenton? I don't know a whole lot about Whistle Pig. Have you ever even tasted a Boss Hog product?
No. I know.
Neither have I.
The only thing I know about Whistle Pig is that when we have a store near us called Wise Guys. We go to there. They do a bourbon raffle once a year. Those are always normally left after some of the more highly sought after bottles are gone, like B-Tax and birthday bourbons, that kind of thing. And I can understand why, because the price tag's like $500 for those when they come out.
Well, Boss Hog 10, the Commandments is what it's called. $600 now. $600.
Is that Canadian stuff?
I don't know. I've never bought it. I've never looked into it.
Let us know if you could.
I imagine it's really good. I can imagine
hope so.
that. I mean, I would hope so too. I really think it's good, but $600. No, I'm not going to line up for that. I'm just not. It's just something that. How much money is too much money for me? $600 is just too much money. Now, let me just stop real quickly to say, Trenton, and I'm going to incriminate myself here because you know it's happened. It's what's the kids call it these days? FOMO.
Do you know what FOMO stands for?
I'm thinking hard. Fear of missing out. Hey, babe, I got it. Fear of missing out. It's a real thing, and I get it because I lived it, Trenton. I lived it, and that was before you were really into it that much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put myself right out there. I paid $700 for a George T. Stagg. I did. Babe, that was like
$700.
that was like 4 years ago, and you're still with me. God bless you. I overpaid extremely. Well, you know why? You know why? Because, honest to God, I really never thought I'd ever have one.
Yeah.
And I have seen them otherwise online. I got this purchase online. I'd seen them otherwise for $950. I thought I was, here's $700. That's what pulled me in. That's the cheapest I ever saw.
That's like 20% off.
That's the cheapest I ever saw.
Is that a Black Friday sale?
Right? I got a Kentucky Owl over there that I paid $1,000 for that I'd probably let you take it away for $100, to be quite honest with you. It was a silly purchase. That was MSRP, though, but that was still a silly purchase. So I am with you in this conversation. But through the years, as we all do, hopefully we all do, right? Through the years, we learn. And we try to make corrections, and just try to put lines in the stand and stay within those lines. So moving forward, $600, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. And I know that's going to, I'm sorry, I keep talking because this is something I'm passionate about. I'm sorry, buddy.
You're fine.
And I want the folks to know, honestly, I just want them to know my heart more than anything else. I know it's easier for you or I to say that because we have the availability to get nicer bottles for close to MSRP. So I understand that that's a lot easier for somebody like me to speak about. Yeah, for sure. But,
and yeah, that's the thing. Like, I've bought Crown Apple 23. I've bought that little race car topper bottle, and just like, we did a whole show kind of dedicated to gimmicky type bourbons, and they are gimmicky bourbons because usually it's a lot of marketing, a lot of fancy packaging. Yeah. You can't eat the packaging. I might have tried a couple times, don't get me wrong. But a lot of these bottles that are a little bit lower age statement come with a really nice box, a nice backstory, beautiful everything, presentation. Yeah. The juice sometimes doesn't really cut the mustard, but especially with something like Boss Hog. Again, I haven't tried it, but I
haven't either. It's probably great.
I don't plan on it. Their piggyback 6 years pretty good. It's like $40-$50. I think.
And I certainly apologize. I don't have the gentleman's name right now. If we ever do a show with this bottle, I will. But a gentleman was very kind and sent us a bottle, actually, Trenton, of a store pick piggyback 6 years.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah. So I'm very curious. I haven't tried it yet. I'm very curious to do so. Last but not least, Eagle Rare 25. You guys have probably seen it forever. $10,000. If you want to line up for that for an Eagle Rare 25 year, it's $10,000. So
I think it was 200 bottles released.
Was it?
Something like that.
That's all right. And that's the end of my list. I'm going to get off that. And again, I'm not picking on any particular distillery. I'm just trying to, show you some examples. And what really got me to this point, Trenton, is all the messages that I get about, I feel so bad for certain folks that live in areas that they absolutely cannot find a nice allocated bottle. And when I say that, I'm not talking an Eagle Rare 25 year.
Right, yeah.
I am talking about a Weller 12 or a Weller Full Proof or, something along that lines. The Wild Turkey Masters Keep. They can't find it in their area unless their local stores are paying or charging exorbitant prices. But then I'm going to say one more time, how much money is too much money? Yeah. I think that's what everybody needs to get in their head. They need to draw some lines in the sand. How much money is too much money? That local flipper that you have, and you all have them in your areas, right? And I'm going to stay off, though. I'm going to stay off that rabbit hole. I really am, because my feelings about that.
I sure do.
The people that run into the stores, they know they can get these really nice bottles that are highly sought after for MSRP or very close to that, only just to run out there. We've seen it happen in our area. You remember when they went into Trail End, and you even within 30 minutes. No, I apologize. That takes me a minute when I'm 60 years old. But that's when you went to Four Roses and you had all those guys in line for that bottle they did for charity purpose.
Oh yeah, the Kentucky Strong bottle.
They bought. This really kind of worked a nerve. But they bought. A lot of these folks stood in line, and they bought bottles, the charity bottles of Four Roses. And what was that, a 10-year? Or what was a good bottle?
It's like a 16, 18,
it was
or a 20. It was an old Four Roses product.
He got me one. I ended up putting it in the auction, not this year's charity drive, but the year before. But within 30 minutes, Trenton found them online places where people were flipping them for 2 and 3 times the price of what they paid for it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not going to buy anything from somebody like that. I'm just not doing it.
Well, the nice
I'm not.
thing is that when those came, it was a Facebook group. I was actually behind a gentleman in line, and he showed it to me. He's like, "You're not going to believe what's already on this Facebook group," and like I think it was in Kentucky, a local Kentucky Facebook group, and people were like actually posting comments about it, like on the post that he was trying to flip the bottle for, and they were upset. Yeah. Which is good. There was a little bit of self-policing, like this is a charity bottle.
Absolutely.
Don't flip it.
Oh, come on.
Don't flip.
It happens in our area. It certainly does, because there's several locations that for whatever reason we're extremely lucky to be here and have that opportunity. But there's several locations that will sell very close to MSRP. And there's one couple, they were tag teaming, man and wife. They were going everywhere.
They moved to Florida, I heard now.
Well, thank God for that.
There was them, and then we had a gentleman who I think scored 4 birthday bourbons a couple of years ago. I was attempting to find one, and I went in to this particular store and heard that they were all sold out, and I called 15 minutes beforehand. I live about 15 minutes away. So by the time I got there, he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm so sorry, they're all gone."
Right.
And walk past this guy's car. He's got 4 of them in his front seat, and I see like his buddies just kind of all crowded around. So either they were flipping them,
yeah, sure,
and they all left with the bottles in his front seat.
I'll guarantee you, he was telling those guys, $300, you can have one, whatever. I don't have much patience for that. I truly don't. I mean, you need to get okay. I need to stop, because for me, I'll just tell you how I think. If I'm fortunate enough to see an extremely nice bottle, I don't care where we're at, even on our travels, we've done this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one. You know why? Because I truly want the next person to be able to experience the purchasing of that bottle and enjoying that bottle.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one. Even though there's times between you and me and Rebecca and Michelle, we could have grabbed 6 or 8 and done the same thing. No, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I want the next person in line to be able to enjoy that. Pick it up and enjoy it. Well, this video can go on forever, Trent. I mean, we could have a whole podcast about this, because
you know what a podcast is?
Well, I don't know how to get it on my phone, but I know what it is. You have to coach me through it.
Yeah, just like a couple more examples I heard of quickly.
Feel free.
Angel's Envy, their annual release. It's $249 this year. Doesn't include a box. Same price, no box.
Oh, that beautiful box they always had before?
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, I've got a few over there, and I've passed. Yeah. I think they're great. I really like them a lot.
Yeah.
But I've got a few, so I haven't felt the need to get any more.
Yeah, so it's like the price is increasing, and you're getting, in the case of Angel's Envy, you're not getting that beautiful box.
Okay.
Which is wild, because a lot of these companies are doing like really elaborate packaging, that kind of thing. I bought a Crown Apple 23. You're like, come on. So... It's an interesting question. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments.
Yeah.
We are
honestly up for conversation.
We are very fortunate to be in the position that we are in, and
sure.
to be able to go out and buy like gimmick bottles to do a video on. Like those aren't cheap videos, and the bottles are just kind of sitting around. We share them with friends and stuff when they come down. But
we give away a lot of stuff too.
Yeah. So
I don't charge a dime. How many times have you been down here trying to go? He's hollering, "Where's this bottle?" And I think for a minute, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I gave it away." I mean, I give away a lot of stuff.
I can't even
just
count.
Because we're fortunate to do that.
Yeah.
Well, let me just finish with this. It might take a couple minutes for me to get through this, but try to bring this conversation, full circle. And how much money is too much money? So here, if you really want to know my opinion, here's my opinion. Since all I can remember, I've said it 6 times probably in the video, but Weller 12 trend. What's a good price to pick up a Weller 12 for folks nowadays? $60? I don't even know.
I think MSRP is like $45. It's a difficult question to ask, because I don't really care for the bottle.
Okay. Well, give me one that you know, that you care about, that you not the Antique 107. You just got to stay, and you love that bottle.
Yeah.
Same thing, $60-$65 or something.
I love Antique 107. I go about 80, which is sort of close to secondary for it.
What's MSRP for it?
49 now, I think.
Oh, so between 50 and 60.
Yeah.
So you kind of went right into that conversation without asking you to make my point here. What I'm trying to say, let's just say, because it varies all over the country. If you're looking for Antique 107 and you know the MSRP should be around $60, let's just say that for conversation, and you see it there for $89. Okay, for me, if you can't see, you haven't found one and you've been looking hard for it for months, then if you see one for $89, then that's something to think about. That's truly something to think about. I mean, I wouldn't blame anybody who's been looking for that bottle for 6 months to find it for $20, $30 more than MSRP and pull the trigger on it. You know, I get that. So when stores are charging that kind of money, you know, it's understandable. My point here is I have an issue, and I know I've had conversations with store owners too, and you know how their distributors are. They want you to buy 15,000 cases of this garbage in order to get a case or two of this Weller product.
Yep.
So that's their point of it. But I still have a problem. So then raise your prices some, but don't go silly on it. $300. I mean, just flippers. That's a whole nother thing. Releases that are coming out at $450. How much money is too much money? You know, at some point we have to draw a line in the sand, and for me, I'm going to draw that line in the sand. And again, I'm going to say, incriminating myself, I've done it in the past. I've made purchases that I should not have done. I've paid way too much money for bottles that I should have never done that. So please, not trying to be judgmental in any way, shape, or form. At the end of the day, you're the customer, right? You're the consumer. You bought it. You know, that you're the one who has to be responsible to yourself. Not to me or anybody else, right? One last thing, and I'm going to bring it to a close. I swear, one last thing, I'll bring it to a close. For those folks out there that are trying to collect super nice, highly allocated bottles, and you're putting them on a shelf, and you've got 6 or 8 bottles of Eagle Rare and 6 or 8 bottles of this, that, and the other thing unopened, right? And you're putting them up such, kind of like trophies per se. That's your prerogative. You bought them, you can do whatever you want with them. I don't believe in this whole bar. If there was 3% of the bottles down here that were not open, I think that would be a pretty good guess. And the only reason is because I haven't got to them yet to think about shows or anything. They are here to open, to enjoy, to share with family and friends when they come down here. So let me just say this. If you're that type of person, God bless you, you can do what you want. But you're kind of missing the boat. You really are. The biggest joy that you will ever find when it comes to whiskey and bourbon is enjoying it and sharing it with family and friends. Nothing like it. That's the main reason why it's so popular right now. The main reason. So just keep that in mind, just a tidbit. All right, there's a few things. I'm going to cut her off here, Trent. I apologize for going long on this. I hope you know we bore our heart here today. I hope you know that. Not trying to be judgmental. I know I've said that too much, but I really want you to know that I'm not. It's just stuff that we've been thinking about, and especially me more than him. I've been thinking about this for a long time. So I hope you enjoy the show. As Trenton said, we would love to get some of your reciprocation in the comments to see what your thoughts are, what you feel about it, where you're coming from. You know I've talked to a lot of people already, but I'd really like the comment section to be polite and kind to one another, because some people are going to have different viewpoints, and let's not beat up on somebody just because it's not your viewpoint. But let's share some knowledge here in the comments and see how we can all learn.
That too, and if you want to share an experience of a time where you bought a bottle that you may have overpaid for, $700 for a George T. Stagg, $1,000 for a Kentucky Owl. I've paid $200 for an Elmer T. Lee, and
we've done it.
None of us are immune. I think we all have purchases that we wish maybe we didn't make.
And the more we all go to that well, the more the prices are going to be where they are.
True that.
They're always there. You're still going to find that Weller 12 for $300 because somebody's going to buy it. All right, that's all we got for you today, boy. We love each and every one of you, man. We really do. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I got on a roll. I forgot. Happy Thanksgiving. Most importantly, enjoy that day. Enjoy that day with your family and friends. There's nothing like that. Just enjoy the holiday. All right, as always, we ask you to please drink responsibly. See you next time. Right down here with Trent and me, hopefully on a little bit brighter subject.
Oh, yeah.
In a good old basement bourbon bar. See you later.